Alrighty, guys. Hi. I hope everybody has had a good Monday. I have had a pretty good day. This week is not seeming as busy as my last couple of weeks were. But, hey, Lean. I know it's late for you. I hope you've gone to bed. Hey, Jakes. I hope you're doing okay and recovering well. It's been a week. Hopefully you continue to heal and are on the path to good recovery. Hey, Claire. I started just a couple of seconds early, so I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes for people who may want to be here to join in. If anybody sees these red spots, I was rubbing myself, so my skin, especially right here, is super sensitive. If I rub or I scratch or I touch, it'll turn red. So sorry if that's distracting. It's not a rash. It's literally, I just have sensitive skin, especially my chest, like right here is the most sensitive. Hey, April. Hey, Maximum Effort. Hey, Burrit. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody's day went pretty seemingly well. Mondays usually aren't always everybody's favorite day of the week. Hey, Susan. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Kat. I hope everybody didn't have a bad day. Hey, Angie Dare. How's everybody? I'm probably going to take off my watch because I will get distracted if it goes off. So I'm going to take it off and put it off to the side. Hey, Sue. Monday was strange for you. Tuesday's going okay. Yeah, hopefully this week is a good week as far as work goes anyways, which kind of very seemingly eases us into our topic for this week, which was burnout. I picked some for this week's voting. A lot of the ones I do reoccurring, or every once in a while I'll re-put in mental health and re-put in substance abuse, because those are topics that could always use awareness. People could always use support, and most people at times feel more vulnerable and willing to talk about things like that. So I always try to keep those in the mix. However, I wanted to go for some different topics that I don't think have ever been suggested, but are ones that are pretty important and that almost everybody is impacted by in some way or another. So that's why I picked the topics for this week that I did. We did get several suggestions that will be included in next week's vote, which will happen on Friday for next week's discussion, just as an entrance to it. My eyeshadow, I did something different. My base shadow is like a blue silver. It's one of the JD Glow shades that I got. And then I actually used a little chrome shadow from Natasha Denona that I have, because I didn't have a lot of time to get ready for this live stream. And I have videos to film after this, so you guys will probably see this makeup look in this shirt in a video for tomorrow that I'm going to film tonight, and probably the video for Wednesday, depending if I don't have technical issues. So, Maximum Effort, you're homesick. Yeah, it seems that we have quite a few people in our community who have had surgery or are, struggling with their health for maybe new diagnosis or old diagnosis, or having to undergo surgery. And for all of you guys who are in that position, my heart goes out to you. You are always in my thoughts. If there's anything that I can ever do for you, please reach out to me. I will do what I can. So, burnout. when most people think of the word burnout, they think of work. That's most commonly where it's associated with, but you can get burnout in just about every facet of your life. Everybody is affected by burnout to some degree or another. It really is depending on how an individual that you handle things. I'm pretty sure almost everybody in the chat, especially if you're an adult or you've had any kind of stressful work, no matter what your work is, you have dealt with burnout. But you can have burnout in personal relationships and familial relationships. Can really happen anywhere. So the first thing that we have, I appreciate you guys complimenting my eyeshadow. Yeah, Jakes, I could understand that. Hey, Jen. So the definition of burnout, and you're going to find varying definitions depending on where you go, but they all pretty much mean the same thing. So the definition is the state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. So it's a result of stress. It typically happens when you're feeling very overwhelmed or emotionally drained or unable to meet constant demands. So oftentimes you get this feeling with work, but based off of the definition, you can see it can really affect any part of your life. I have faced burnout more in my current job than I did when I worked for DCFS, and a lot of that is a personal thing. So I'm just going to start with my own stuff so people maybe feel vulnerable to share if you'd like. But this job isn't as stressful as my previous work was, but I had a lot more passion for my previous work. So it wasn't so much work for me, although that may seem weird for people to hear because a lot of you know what I've done for my previous work working with DCFS. But my passion was there. That's where my heart is. So when I would go to work, it really didn't burn me out, even though that career is known to have a ton of burnout. I saw burnout happen. I've always been the kind of person that once I start reaching a threshold where I'm really unhappy or I'm really struggling to go to work, I will take a mental health day. I will take the PTO and I will take the day off. And if I need more days and I have the time, I will take it off to make sure that I'm always giving my full potential into whatever work I'm doing. I'm very much like that in my personal life as well. I'm more apt to kind of voice in my personal life when I am starting to feel overwhelmed. I will have those conversations. It happens more with my husband than anybody else, seeming I live with him, and he's kind of the only one that I see on a daily basis other than my coworkers. So whenever I start to feel overwhelmed, I will try to make sure I voice that. I'm not the best at it though. I mean, we all have our faults. So it is something that I struggle with, but I do try to talk about. But there is times in my personal life and in my home life where I will let stuff go just because I'm burnt out from everything else going on, especially with the state of the world and everything like that. Now more than ever, I think a lot of people are facing burnout and they're just not realizing that that's what they're facing. Burnout, if it's left and it's not something that you can really treat per se, but if you don't acknowledge it and work towards bettering any of that, it definitely can lead to actual like diagnosable mental illness, where it's not a temporary thing, it's a prolonged thing, to where it does become a diagnosis. So it is actually a pretty serious topic to talk about. It does kind of coincide, it can, with mental health. But today we're going to try and keep it on just the fact that people get burnt out, and it's okay to get burnt out. Everybody gets burnt out. Running a dog rescue, I could definitely see that leading to burnout. The stress of worrying about the dogs that you're caring for, if it's a rescue, sometimes funding can be stressful. You guys are talking about medication. I don't want to air that out for everybody. Yeah. So, I mean, people often coincide it with that, but really think, I mean, really, like I said, with my personal life, really think about other ways that you just feel totally exhausted, especially with COVID. I mean, COVID, we've talked about the impacts COVID has on everybody. Children, we talked about it affecting them, their school, their teachers, how parents are interacting with school officials, whether that's teachers or higher up professionals, administrators. I would imagine, like, even kids are probably facing some kind of burnout currently with, they're just drained from not being able to do their normal life. You have a job that's not stressful at all, working with children. And like, that's the main thing with burnout, is it's just total exhaustion. But it can, typically we get exhausted from being stressed, but you really could face burnout even if you weren't super stressed. And even if you are doing something that's stressful, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have burnout, especially if you, for me, going into the careers that I have, it's always known that anything you do with the public, whether it's human relations, social work type work, you're nursing, medical, it's that those jobs come with a high burnout, and you're talked about. It's part of your schooling almost to be aware that this is something that is common in whatever career field you go in. So I always tried to make sure, knowing that that was a thing, to keep myself in check, keep a checks and balances for myself, for my mental health, my physical health. I didn't do so well in that department. And just your overall being, because I've always wanted to make sure when I am working, especially when I'm working with the public, that I am doing my best at all times, because it's not just my work affects everybody that I come into contact with. And if I'm not in it 100%, it could potentially affect somebody that I work with in a negative way. Yeah, we all definitely need mental health days, for sure. Hey, Beauty Demon, how are you doing? Hey, Cheryl. Up and down of the lockdowns are wearing you down. Yeah, I bet that is. That's got to be anybody who works in any kind of first responding type jobs, or jobs or careers that you really don't get the option to work from home. I know a lot of businesses and stuff like that are getting to work from home if it's feasible, but even like your grocery store employees, your retail employees, they have to be so stressed out, especially, like, I always try to think of it from my family's perspective, because there are people in my family, which I don't talk about, their ailments because it's not for everybody to know. But I do have people in my family who are at a very, very high risk with COVID. And I just try to think of how exhausted, and I know some of these people are exhausted because I've had conversations with not being able to go out, not being able to have any kind of normalcy, being stuck at home, and like ending up in like almost, it's like a burnout. They're just so emotionally and physically drained from not being able to have any kind of normalcy to their life that it's affecting them. And they're like having to try to make sure that they're keeping themselves occupied and doing different things here and there. It's affecting, like, burnout goes in all facets of life. Pharmacy, I could not, yeah, pharmacy. And there's a lot more first responder. Like, when people think of first responder, it depends on how you think of it, but I think a lot of people kind of think of just like the typical ones, the stereotypical first responders, the EMS workers, the law enforcement, the firefighters, the military. And with COVID, everybody's realizing that health professionals are a first responder. But we also have retail stores in areas that they're open. We have the grocery store, which has pretty much had to maintain open to some degree because people need to eat. I mean, those people are kind of falling under, for me, the definition of first responder. And they have to be so, I'm sure some of them are struggling with burnout, especially when people are maybe catching COVID, and depending on their company's policy and their state, they may not have the ability to maintain their job. That has to be stressful. It has to be stressful coming into contact daily with strangers, and depending on where you work, a ton of strangers. Hey, Terry. Yeah, nursing is a very high burnout position. Hey, Renee. They need hazard pay. I mean, honestly, military gets hazard, when active duty go on deployments, they get hazard pay, and it depends on where you go and like what your job title is as far as what you get. But yeah, there are benefits for the military when they go and put themselves at risk. So I mean, who knows? Apparently, our government probably couldn't afford it because our government can't afford to really send out a decent stimulus check to help people who need it. Raised wages, yeah. You call it moral injury versus burnout. I mean, yeah, I could see that term working for it. Yeah, Kat. I and some people are in the position where they have a job that you can build up time, or you can build up sick pay and stuff like that. But I previously have worked a pretty decent paying job that didn't offer, it wasn't a salaried position. So they didn't offer paid time off, and they didn't offer sick pay. So if you were sick or you wanted to take a vacation, you just took the time off if they could offer it. You weren't paid at all for it. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. Military needs to be paid more. I mean, I could agree. If they're enlisted military members do not get paid what people think they do. Cheryl, it's a part of the new strain that's affecting you guys. Hey, Madison. Burnout is a pretty self-explanatory type thing, but I figured this would be a discussion that a lot of people maybe would have experience with. Like I said, I've had experience with it, and I've had to take mental health days here and there with my current work. It gets hard working with the public, especially the demographic of individuals that I'm currently working with. It's very wearing on somebody. Yeah, military, like when you actually put into place the amount of hours most active duty get, and I'm not talking about officers, I'm not talking about like higher ranks, I'm talking about like enlisted, kind of bottom of the barrel, so to speak, active duty military. From what I have known is, and what I have experienced being married to my husband and having a lot of military friends and different branches of the military. It kind of runs the same throughout all branches, but they typically work more than 8 hours a day. And when you break down the pay versus how much they're working, they're not even making minimum wage most of the time. Hey, Melody, good to see you. Yeah, Air Force I mean, that's the branch my husband's in and my dad was in. And currently, my husband typically works an 8 hour day, but most previous jobs he's done, when he was maintaining, he was working typically a minimum of 12 hours a day. He's faced burnout. My husband has been in the military for 12 years, over 12 years now, I think. And at this point it makes no sense for him to get out, but he's at burnout. He's done. He's just trying to get through these last couple of years to get retirement, because he's put so much time in. It's kind of silly not to at this point, but he's reached burnout with it. He reached burnout in his other job that he did for several years, and in the currently what he's doing, he's kind of reaching burnout. So it's interesting. Hey, Empire, how are you? Yeah, enlistment pays awful. Yeah, Terry, if you make it a career, it can be worth it. $14 and then couldn't make it. Yeah, it happens. It really does. Thank you, Melody. I appreciate that. 16 years. He's almost to the 20-year mark. No, I get it, Empire. That's why whenever I start my live streams, I always hope everybody has had a good Monday, because Mondays are notoriously like known to just be rougher days. I think it's typically because it's the start of the work week for most people. My Monday wasn't too bad. Thank you for your service, Terry. I've thought about, like, I don't know if an open discussion would be the right type of venue, but I've thought about like talking about military life and stuff like that. It's kind of hard. Like, I can only speak on the terms of being a child of someone who is in the military and then marrying somebody in the military. So I can't speak from the terms of being in the military. I don't know. I don't know. I've toyed with that idea before. I just don't know. Your Mondays are a marathon. All right. I mean, today's topic was pretty quick. I don't know what else really to talk about in relation to burnout. You think military life has been romanticized too much? Yeah, I could see that. I could see it being romanticized. There's a lot of like misinformation, I feel like, for like some people know the realities of military life, whether that's family or not, if you're friends with them. But there also has been good depictions of what that's like. Maybe that I'm just more aware of the realness of those depictions because I relate to it. Yeah, you're not always set up 100%. It really depends on what career field you go into and if you have good leadership while you are in to transfer that job out once you separate from the military. Interesting, beauty demon. You didn't grow up in the military. Is there a reason they make you move so often? It's depending on your job. So my husband changed jobs, which is really why we moved. Previous to that, he was stationed at, which is not common. It's really because of the career that he was doing, what he was doing. But he was at the same station for 10 years. like I said, super uncommon. Typically, you end up moving due to your job and like where you're needed most. And depending on what rank you are more likely to move due to other bases needing the rank that you have, like not having enough experienced people. For instance, my dad, when I don't think he'd care if I said this. You guys don't know his name. When he became chief, there was another state that didn't have any experienced chiefs. So he had to leave, and he actually lived apart from us for 2 years while he finished out his career in another state because they needed an experienced chief to take over in his career field in a unit. So he had to move, and I was a senior or junior going into my senior year, and my mom was established and we were all established. My siblings were established there. So it was a family decision that we would stay where we were at in Florida, and he would go to the state he was going to on his own. So that's what we did. But my sister's husband is a Navy officer, and they have moved like clockwork. They've gotten lucky the last couple of years and have been able to stay in the same state. But they have moved a couple of different places. And that's just because the higher ranking that you get, the more experience you have, the longer you've been in. So when you have new people coming in and people retiring, because you typically get a higher rank the longer you're in for the experience, people start retiring and separating and stuff like that. So there's less people available. And when more people are coming up, they want to like spread out the knowledge to all of the bases. That's unfortunate, maximum effort. Unfortunately, that's not very uncommon, to be honest. It's really not. You grew up in 2 military towns. Yeah, even if you grow up in an area that is predominant for military, you kind of get to know about the lifestyle, because typically when you're in school with kids who have parents in the military. You guys moved all the time, Lisa? Hey, Aline. Yes, you guys are in my thoughts. Aline's family is kind of going through a very stressful time for their family, and she's personally told me I'm not going to disclose what they're facing. They are in a very stressful predicament. So if you guys want to keep her and her family in your thoughts, or if you have a higher power, please do that for her and her family. I'm wishing the best for you guys. You know I am. Yeah, it's definitely known when you sign up for the military that moving, and some people, as I can't remember who was saying that they're nieces and nephews get to travel. Some people join for the sole purpose of getting to travel. They want to see the world, and you pretty much do it most of the time for free when you're in the military. And even if you're like just for vacations, there's ways that you can travel within the military that's at a very low cost. Positivity Turtle, have you been watching Repzilla Beauty Demon? So do you guys have any other questions? Usually I'm talking for at least an hour, and tonight's topic is pretty straightforward. So we're just about done. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'd hate to cut it short, but I also just don't want to sit here and for anybody who watches the replay and be staring at the screen. Yeah, my husband's deployed 3 times. Deployment, especially right now, is kind of a common occurrence with being a part of the military, unfortunately. Ow, excuse me. My eyeshadow color, so I've got 2 on. I did a very basic look when I got home because I ran out of time. And I always, especially because I knew I had to film videos after this, I always try to take my makeup off and put makeup on. I used the JD Glow shade in Secrets. It's one of the Galaxy shadows. It's like blue with a silver ship. And then I used this little mini Natasha Denona Chrome Liquid in Disco. So those are the 2 eyeshadows. And then I put on, what foundation did I use? Oh, I used one of my holy grails, my Estee Lauder. I've been using the Fenty powder foundation. I've been using it with a big fluffy brush like this, like a huge brush, and using it more for like a setting powder or a finishing powder because it does blur really well, and it has just a little bit of coverage. If you're using a big brush like that, it hardly puts down any coverage. And then I use my typical, I actually didn't use my Fenty Beauty bronzer today. I used one that I got in Ipsy a while ago just because I'm trying to venture outside and not be so boring with my makeup. I used this Gigi Gorgeous one for my bronzer, which you guys know I like bronzer and contour at the same time. So I used that, and then I used this little Tarte blush. Yeah, this is the one I used in Quirky. If I can get it open again. It's like a mauve. And then I actually put highlight on, which is a rarity. I usually don't. And it's actually an eyeshadow that I've gotten from Ipsy, which I don't get the Ipsy bag anymore. It's this City Color Cosmetics eyeshadow, single eyeshadow. That is on my face. And then I actually used a little Sephora lip stain. It's number 40. It's like one of the little tiny samples. And then I put Patrick Taw's, she's an influencer, over it. That is the makeup today. I go up and see what you guys are saying. Good night, Terry. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Your brother-in-law just got home from a deployment. I'm glad he made it back well. No, I used the JD Glow First. I just used my finger and I put it on, and then I just put the metallic in the middle. I tried to fake halo eye, and if I had time, I was going to whisk a shade in my outer corner and in my crease, but I ran out of time. I have not darkened my hair, not recently. You can see, I don't know how well you guys can see. This lighting might not be showing it. My roots have grown out about an inch. But the the dye that I use is a semi-permanent, right? That's the one that washes out. So it just slowly fades. Like when I first did it, it was like a black blue. And then now it's just like really dark brown, and it'll continue to wash out as my hair grows out. I've been saying, and I think I've mainly talked about it in a members only, I don't know. I plan on actually cutting my hair, and I'm probably going to cut it really short just to try something different. I've had short hair before. Like I've had hair similar to Brit, but like at my chin. I just don't want to do that quite yet because I want to lose a little bit more weight in my face. So, because I don't want it to frame my face and then my face seem wider than it is. So this is really the first time that I've actually used the liquids. I've had the Natasha Denona Chrome liquids. I have that one, and I have, where's it at? I have the black one. I don't know where I put, oh, there it is. So, man, that light really blows me out when I'm not right up on it. I've got this one too. I'll do swatches of them. I mean, it's not creasing too bad, and I just took the doe foot of the silver. I'll swatch both of them, and I just pat it in the middle. I didn't swipe. I just pat it on. That way I got full opacity, and that way it wouldn't disturb the eyeshadow underneath. And it doesn't seem to be creasing, but I also haven't had it on for that long. I've had it on I put my makeup on like 15 minutes before I went live. So maybe an hour or 45 minutes. Where's my little, what happened to it? I have a little fan that I usually use to dry my setting spray, but it's gotten moved, probably because of all my crafts that I've been doing lately. So that silver is really blinding. So that's the silver, and the black has like a very fine purple blue glitters in it, but they're very hard to see. Like even in person, granted the shadow's still wet, that could be part of it, but they're very hard to see. you started using bronzer as contour. I'm not good at doing both. So when I try to bronze my face, if I use a legitimate bronzer and bronze the areas you're supposed to, and then go back in and contour like the makeup artists or the beauty gurus do, I end up looking extremely muddy. My face is really small. Just like I have child-size hands, a child-size head. I'm very petite. Aside from being overweight, I'm actually very petite in small frames. I have a small frame, so I don't have a lot of face space to actually work with. Like this is a normal bronzing brush, and if I use this to bronze, I'm caking my whole side of my face. So I have to use like really small little brushes. I don't even know what kind of brush this is, but I have to use small ones. Otherwise, I end up with a mess. Hey, Karen. Yeah, I've had some of this Ipsy makeup for a little while. When I got a few bags. Got my last bag was probably in March of last year, and I just was not enjoying the products I was getting. I wasn't paying for the expensive bag either. It was like the lowest tier one, but I just wasn't enjoying the products. So I canceled it, and I've heard they've gotten better, but at this point I have so much makeup, and I don't mean that braggingly. I just have a problem. So I'm trying to work through what I have. Hey, Tina's glad you make it. Hey, Crystal, how are you? With auburn hair, I've dyed my hair red before, and it was supposed to be like strawberry blonde. I think I've talked to you guys. My natural hair color is like a dirty blonde. Like, you cannot see my arm hair. I'm naturally like a dirty blonde, but because I've dyed it's pretty much just brown now. And the first time I dyed my hair was I wanted to try strawberry blonde, like a light strawberry auburn tint. And because my hair was light and because I did box dye with my sister, it ended up turning out like bright red, like bright, bright, bright red. If you guys remind me, maybe I have the picture in my phone somewhere. Maybe one live stream I'll pull it up and show you guys. But I will not do that again because it took years for me to no longer have a red tint to my hair. You cut your hair into a bob with bangs. I couldn't do straight across bangs. I know those would bother me. I've had side swoop bangs. I typically don't mind them because I can pin them back. I'm debating getting that. I really want to like just try to rock like a short haircut. I've done an A-line cut, kind of like Brits before. I've thought about doing that, but I don't know if I want to. I think I kind of want to try something even a little bit more different. So I haven't gone to any hair salon here since I've been here. The last time I cut my hair, like last summer, I did it myself. Which would explain why my ends are so scraggly right now. This is also the longest my hair has ever been because I haven't found a hairdresser, but I have asked a couple of my coworkers for their hairdressers' names so I can call and try to get an appointment. And to be honest, what I would really like to do, which this may sound silly to some, but I'm not weird about my hair. I could care less. I've had a bad haircut before. I don't freak out over it. I really want to just go into like a really good professional hairstylist and just say, cut it the best you think will be for my face shape. I really want to do that. Like, that's really what I want to do. I don't know if I will. I didn't realize I had gotten so far behind in the chat. Yeah, I'm probably going to stay on here, get through your comments, and then head off of here, partly because I have 2 videos I'm going to try to film tonight. And the other part is I have drank this whole thing in an hour. So my bladder is extremely full. Sorry if that's too much information for you guys. Here, they're dry now. So I don't know if you guys, there, you can kind of see it. If I can make it not focus on my face. You can kind of see the shift there. They're very, very micro glitter in the black, but that black is super opaque and it doesn't, like I'm pushing and it barely transferred that black. So I don't know. I did get them at Sephora, but I got them like last 2019 holiday. So I don't know if they are still for sale. Do you have child hands? Yeah. You're gonna hit pan on all of your eyeshadow palettes. I could not. I would have to, like, the only way I think I would be able to make that possible is if I changed my makeup look 4 or 5 times every day. So I, unfortunately, with the work that I have, I cannot have any hair color that is unnatural. Even when I dyed my hair black and initially, and it had that very slight tint of blue, I got talked to. So I can't dye my hair anything that's not a natural hair color in my current job. Which I find kind of funny because when I worked for the state in Florida, they didn't care, but I work for a county. Granted, I work in Utah, and Utah, no offense to anybody who lives here, but they're very closed-minded, especially where I'm at. And I can't. I was like, okay, good thing I asked before I did because I was gonna dye my hair like a deep blue, and good thing I asked because I would have gotten in trouble. Yeah, the picture that I have is like my profile picture here. That my natural hair color is even lighter than that. That picture is from a couple of years ago. It's like 2 years old, maybe even 3. I'm trying to think. The only eyeshadow palette I think I have that I've ever hit pan on was my Modern Renaissance. If I didn't really need to use the restroom, I would probably dig it out for you guys. But I'm really going to have to go when we hit an hour. I'm just trying to get through the comments because I'm struggling. Travel size. Yeah, so I got one travel size, one of the ones from Sephora. I think this was like one of the bamboo ones. And I like this brush, but the other brushes that came with it, I wasn't a fan of. Maybe I just need to try more. You had Birchbox. I've never tried Birchbox. Hit pan is when you use an eyeshadow or a makeup product so much that you see the silver pan. Hey, Rocklist. My hair is so straight, Crystal, that when I do have bangs, it does nothing. Like my hair is naturally straight. This is after my hair has been up, and I don't even know if you guys can see the little like crinkles in it is because my hair was up. My hair is like straight as a board. You never actually dyed your hair. That's a good thing. Don't get into dyeing your hair. What colors are on my hand? These are the Natasha Denona Chrome eyeshadows that I have. You'll have to apply makeup. I can't do that. There's been times recently where I've been waking up late and I've not even gone to work with makeup, or I've put makeup in a little bag and I've done my makeup once I've gotten to work. What's funny that they care about my hair color is they don't care about my nose ring, which I don't have it in right now, but they don't care that I have a facial piercing, but they don't want my hair to be, they don't care what kind of makeup I wear. I can wear really loud makeup and they don't care. But Lisa, Utah's very conservative. It's very, very pretty here. Like the landscape here is beautiful, but it is extremely conservative. I've talked about this before, I'm also not fluent in the predominant religion here. So that has been like a culture shock for me, where I have had to really try and learn and understand to make sure that I'm not offending anybody. You work at a beauty school and could get your hair cut for free and you haven't done it. That's funny. You'll trade for a month your hair. I have actually, when I was, how old was I? I think I was in 8th grade. I got a perm, like a spiral perm, and I didn't like it at first, but once the curls loosened, I absolutely loved it. I just didn't like the upkeep that a perm had, so I only got it once. That's cool, Madison. Yeah, I know perms are popular, especially with teen boys. I mean, if you have the right kind of hair, perms can look really cool, especially depending on, I got the really tight spirals. I don't have any pictures of that. My mom does. I don't. Yeah, Lisa, they're pretty open-minded and I'm pretty honest with people, and a lot of people I work with are from Utah, so they have educated me, and I've always said if I have any, like, I'll go to them before I say something that's going to offend a client. I will go to somebody, that one of my coworkers, and I say, hey, like, please don't take this offensively. You know, I'm ignorant to this. I'm really just trying to learn, and I'll ask the question. He was baptized in a Mormon church. Yeah, I have nothing against the religion. I just don't know it. I'm still learning. I learn new stuff all the time about the religion. Beauty Demon, fiance, might as well call him her husband, has a YouTube channel, and he goes by Zales on that channel. No mayonnaise. You guys are talking about mayonnaise. That's funny. Yeah, I heard about the green jello, and I heard about funeral potatoes. I learned what those were over the holidays. Didn't know what it was. Alrighty, guys. So I am going to cut just a few minutes short. I really need to use the restroom. It's been a great chat. I am going to be filming some videos, so don't be surprised when you see this makeup look and probably this shirt for the next couple of videos coming out. I will probably go live sometime this week in the afternoon, either not afternoon, in the evening, like Wednesday or Thursday, to continue up on some crafts. I'm not tonight because I have videos to film, and then I've got stuff going on tomorrow, so I can't tomorrow. So maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I will. And then for everybody who's a member, I know I put up a poll about live streams for you guys. I'm probably going to follow up with another poll to see what days. So everybody, there's so many of you guys who are struggling with different things, whether it's physical stuff, recovering from surgery, personal struggles that your family is having currently. No matter what it is, if you guys can always just keep each other in your thoughts, and just if you have any kind of religion, do that. They're always in my thoughts. And if you guys ever have any questions or concerns or want to reach out to me, feel free. You guys know you can on my social media or in my email. But I am going to go. I will see you guys later. Bye.